think we're live. That was an amazing video. Thank you for putting that together. The whole community is very proud of the tidal waves, and I know as a mom that had 2 swimmers for years, some of those pictures just made me giggle, especially when their goggles are down here. That was wonderful. Thank you. And I hope all the neighbors appreciate seeing that. Actually got me a little teary. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We got quite a few things to cover. We only have 3 directors here. We have Director Shoemakers, Stanfield, and myself. Just a reminder, when we vote, all 3 of us have to be the same vote or it doesn't work. And please, obviously the 2 of you are gonna have to motion in a second, so you just say it verbally so that Sean can hear it. I sure would appreciate it. Okay, do we have any citizens communication? Nope. Okay, Jim, you're up. Press the French mark.
Here we go. Pleasure to be back again, as always. Like I said, we're always here to talk about milestones, updates, and upcoming events. I know we're short on time here, but we're still tracking to open the Shields and the NFM and the Marriott Hotel Convention Center at the same times that we talked about before. With regard to upcoming and ongoing work, the buffer zone, the 30 feet behind the CMU wall, that has been completed. It's been signed off by the City of Cedar Park. The hydro seeding's been completed back there. That was completed last Friday, the 20th. The sod along Creek Run and the easement area shown that we agreed to, that's been restored. The sod looks beautiful. The irrigation was supposed to be in tonight. If not tonight, it'll be in. It's temporary irrigation. The pipes will go in tomorrow. You got to irrigate that sod, obviously.
Yeah.
They'll go in tomorrow, and then we'll go through the irrigation process for the whole rear of the property to be irrigated so all the vegetation can catch and we're fine. But I think Crystal went back and looked at it, or she got reports. It's fantastic. So we appreciate all your efforts to coordinate that and get it done, and it meant a lot to us. So that takes care of the buffer area. Early morning pours, as you guys probably noticed, there hasn't been any early morning pours because the buildings that basically have the slabs been completed. You can see as you look at the buildings right now, the shields will be under roof probably middle of August, which makes it hard to believe. So that'll be under roof, and then there's just a monumental amount of work that needs to get done on the inside, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
The NFM is hoping to be under roof probably later that month, early September. With regard to the early pours, the hotel has just started, so tonight, actually, we call it early morning pour. You may look at it as night pour. But tonight, tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. will be the first pour in the hotel. I think those notices went out, and we're expecting 1 to 2 pours a week. That building is actually a 7-story poured-in-place concrete building. That'll top out in October, so the night pours will be over. I'll actually be on some of those pours. I'm gonna go up tonight, because now the pours are starting to be elevated. So we wanna make sure that the lights are pointed down, that backup alarms are off, and the same things that we've been doing, through the same protocols that we have. I just wanna make sure that it's going well tonight, because now we're starting to get a little bit higher. Everything that we poured was on grade. So if you hear anything, light pollution, lights, as always, please bring it to me, and I'll take care of them immediately, and make sure we take care of that on the next go around. With regards to road work that's going on out there, you've seen some work done at South Blockhouse Road and East New Hope. We're getting ready and prepping for some work Sunday evening onto Monday morning, early Monday morning. We're gonna be grinding and milling and overlaying that intersection. So we want to do it at off-peak hours. We've let the Director Sandoval and Logan know that we're gonna be doing that. The notices have gone out for that. So it's about a 10-hour operation. The traffic lanes will be open but limited, like we recommended. If people need to get somewhere, or maybe plan ahead and look for an alternate route. But they're still gonna be able to get to the intersection that late at night on Sunday and early Monday morning. With regard to the PEC duct bank that's going out of the north of our property and running to the substation, further north, about a mile away, the clearing and grubbing is taking place along Creek Run. We did a couple street sweeps on that. We did notice there's some debris and dust out there, but that's complete. We're gonna start the underground mooring probably late next week. It won't be impacted anything because it's mooring underneath South Blockhouse, so there should be no disruption there and no issues with traffic flow. We don't anticipate anything there. On another note, Director Sandoval, you communicated some concerns from the neighborhoods, from Blockhouse flood residents. As I typically do, I went and knocked on their doors and talked to them. And we were in their backyards and we looked at their beautiful ecosystems and we talked about through any of their concerns. I familiarized them with what we were doing with TC2 or SWIP majors, and they were super excited to hear about it. Their only concerns weren't the creek was overflowing the banks. It was just taking maybe another day longer for the creek to clear up. which is I think a lot of what we understood was, it's just the amount of rain that we've had.
Yeah.
We've just been getting rid of a lot of water, not just here, but all over. So those are really the updates, but along with that, I'm glad to tell you all that we are supporting and making a $2,000 donation this weekend to your community effort for the families and the flood victims, and the families and victims of the floods over the 4th of July. So I made a $2,000 pledge for that. I will be there to play golf or disc golf this weekend, so we're glad we can do that and really help the community, and that's really why we're here. We just want to be a great game for free golf.
Thank you.
That was amazing. I just want you guys to know, and I don't know if everybody knows, but really it was the community, the neighbors that put together this disc golf barbecue fundraiser for this weekend. We basically put it together in 2 weeks. And I just wrote, the Mud is donating ice, Travis's time a little bit, he's down here anyways, and the Humana building for restrooms and such. The OA came to me and said, how much money do you want to raise? I gave them this amount based on how many barbecue plates and how many disc golfers are gonna play, and the OA generously matched that number that I was just hoping we're gonna. And then I sent out some letters and just basic sponsor letters, and Jim called me and said that NFM was gonna donate $2,000, which blew me away, so that was.
24 hours, we can do this.
So it's really exciting. And just to be clear, all the proceeds are going to Leander ISD's LEAF program, which is Leadership Excellence Education Foundation or something like that. And it's their 501c3. And they have promised me that they've earmarked it, I think they've even set up like a little something or another, that all these funds that are going in are just gonna go directly to flood victims in LISD. And that is, they lost a student, at least one, bus drivers have lost their homes, I mean, they've had staff, they've had teachers, I mean, it really has impacted LISD. So it's really kind of cool to do this event and have it directly benefit our community and our neighbors. And I think even part of it may be some mental health. I know Sean and I were talking about, hope you don't mind me sharing this, but I think his son even lost a couple of classmates in it. And, there's some survivor's guilt and just some stuff that, kids are gonna go to school and they're gonna be missing some of their classmates. And so that's another part of us supporting our community. So I could not be prouder of NFM and other sponsors. I will tell you, Premier and Priority reached out, but just of our community. I mean, we have one, I won't mention their name, but we had one neighbor that spent over $700 on meat for us to cook. So it's just really amazing. People just rose up to the occasion, so. Okay, thank you.
Glad we can help. Thank you all, anything, as always, always available.
All right, I'll see you on Sunday.
All right.
I'll bring your disc.
Appreciate it. Don't bring it left-handed.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
That was very generous of them. Okay,
Appreciate it.
yeah. Just 2 weeks, and we pulled this thing together, it's amazing. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 25th?
I move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and go to Sandy, BHCA, OA.
Okay, so we have good news and bad news for July 4th. The line of the loop went great, and it looked great for
In rain.
most of the time before the 4th. So that did happen this year. Obviously, our 4th of July event did not happen. Our vendors were except one, were very understanding and they actually gave us rain checks. So we didn't lose as much money as we were afraid we were gonna lose. But anyway, so that kind of didn't happen. On July 12th, we had Pool and Movie. I wanna thank Premier. Thank you. We showed, not The Little Mermaid, but Somebody Finding Nemo or. I'm out of the loop. I know it was Disney. And what is it? It's not Finding Nemo?
It is Finding Nemo. You said somebody find. That's all right.
Anyway, I'm here working again. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, so we moved everything from the 4th of July to August 16th, which is our back to school. And we think it's gonna work out really well once we find out where the people are gonna sit, because that's new for us at Tonkawa. Because we have a lot of rides and some extra stuff this year, and so we're trying to make it to where everybody will have a place to sit in the midst of everything else going on. But anyway, so we have fireworks at 9:45 on that day. And then I believe that's it until September, and I don't really know what's going on there, so.
Hey, one thing I was gonna suggest to you, I know you said fireworks at 9:45. That's based on what the 4th of July timetable showed, and this is over a month and a half later, so the sun may be setting a little bit earlier, so just might want to talk to them.
We still, set
Really?
on 9:45, they said
Okay.
that was probably the best time, just to make sure we still met dark,
Oh, okay, okay.
totally.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and you're gonna work on the lights, cause you all are gonna have lights out there, right?
Yes, I've not reserved those yet, I remembered them yesterday.
Okay.
And we're actually gonna have a few more lights, just because it's a longer
Yeah.
field for us, and then we'll teach people how to turn them on and turn them off.
Okay.
So we should be good.
And I sent you an email, and I believe you're on it as well, and Amanda, Connie Odom, the Director of Communications for Wilco, reached out to me and wanted to partner with us at some point in time on emergency response. This is actually before the floods, but they're going around and trying to educate the county on that, and so this was a great opportunity. She said, if you guys ever have an event, so I told her we get between 1,000 and 1,500 people at this event, so they may have a booth also, which I think would be great.
We did plan for them to have one.
Okay, fantastic,
We've got the tents and kind of the organizations lined up,
okay,
where we always line up, but we stretched it out.
Okay.
So we're planning on them being there.
Good.
But I have not had any contact with her.
no, and she did say, and this was all last week, they were still really overwhelmed with
Sure.
the floods and the rescues and such, so I would give them, another week or two, then we can reach out to Connie again, she's really good, so,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, fantastic, thank you. Any questions for Sandy? All right, I don't think we're gonna move anything around. Deputy Lovato with the new haircut.
Nothing really to report. I mean, obviously, I know there, a lot of stuff, got some stuff to you guys late, just because of the floods. I'm also on the Swiftwater Rescue Team, so we've been called out to, burn it, Lampasas, so it's just been really crazy. The guys haven't reported anything going on in the neighborhood, other than, it was a stolen dirt bike.
Oh, is that what it was?
GPS, yeah, on it, so we're still trying to locate it,
Oh,
so.
okay,
We'll find it, but,
yeah,
other than that, nothing else has been reported to me.
okay. All right, I think we can talk about, we did have somebody, report these two kids driving around in a black Chevy truck. And then the irony was I was actually talking to one of your deputies about something else by the school, and they drove by, I stopped to talk to them. But I guess they had, threatened a couple of kids to kill them and such, so.
Okay, I do know what,
Yeah.
Deputy Hernandez told me about that. He actually, knows the kid that was driving
Yeah.
and talked to his father, made him bring all those kids back. And then that father talked to those kids' parents, and he said, if it ever happens again, let me know.
Great,
And so, yeah, the dad took care of it.
perfect, that's perfect, okay. Good deal, anything for W. Lovato? All right.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all your efforts in the rescues and such. Very draining, I'm sure. Okay, number 6, 25-26 budget and tax rate. So, item A, district tax rate classification under Texas Water Code sections, including recommendation from district engineer and financial advisor.
I'm happy to run through this one real quick, just to refresh everyone's memory. Several legislative sessions ago, there were different categories of MUDs that were established by the legislature to provide really parameters on what you can do with your O&M tax and essentially when an election is triggered. It's pretty clear cut for you guys. You are either a low tax rate district, a developed district, or a developing district. I think you guys have always self-classified as a developed district ever since we have come up with these classifications here, so I don't have any recommended changes this year. Crystal, Lauren, any changes? Still a recommendation to be a developed district?
No.
Okay, so do we need to vote on that then, or
We
just?
do.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Motion to approve that we're a developed district.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passed. Now, section B, schedule for the budget and tax rate.
Board members, in kind of putting together these dates here, this is more our attempt to capture the total amount of meetings here and the sequence of the meetings, but I would defer to you guys on establishing an actual schedule. I think what Nancy did here was simply make you up a schedule with all the meetings on Wednesdays when your typical meetings are. I think there have been years where we have followed this format just to kind of keep it standard. I think there have also been years where we have tried to, look at availability and try to, make sure everybody can make meetings. To be sure, we don't necessarily need to finalize all this today, but it might be a good idea to try to take a shot at it to see what we can do as first one of these meetings is gonna be coming up pretty soon.
Okay, so, let's go around the table. Do you guys have any input on the proposed schedule?
No, it looks fine to me.
I think it's gonna be fine.
Okay, but we don't need to vote on it, right?
We do not need to vote on it, but with that said, if this is looking good, we can, at least many of us here, we can circulate it subsequent to our meeting today, but I mean, if you guys are saying that you're available on all these dates,
You know, post forum, when you go back to the office.
we won't necessarily post for them, but certainly, things bleed into each other here, right? In terms of, we certainly need to get the levy date set, and then subsequent to that, we'll have to establish our publication date, and, one thing, certainly moves into another here, so. But if you guys look good for all the dates, that means we've got quorums, and I would imagine that, quorums are very rarely an issue out here, so.
Yeah, okay. Lisa, if you'll just go ahead and circulate that to everyone, especially the two directors that are not here tonight, so they're in the know, we're in good shape, okay.
Okay, great.
And then C, 2025 certified appraised values from Williamson County. Who would like to address that?
Lauren, you wanna go through the values?
Sure. I'm pulling it up, sorry.
You're welcome to join us at the table, Lauren, if you'd like. Not required.
Alright, so you'll see that you received your certified assessed valuation from the appraisal district. If you go down to that very bottom part of page 1, on the left-hand side, you see net taxable at $726,189,129. And then on the right-hand side, if you look at the one that says taxpayers estimate of value under review, so this is out of that $19,197,970 that's under review. The appraisal district is currently anticipating that $11,518,782 will be eventually approved through the process. And then, if you go to page 2, you'll see that they have your 2024 certified value at that $726,229.65. And then really the highlight, the next page is the home value. Bless you.
Thank you.
So you'll notice for 2024, they had your average taxable home value at $321.80. And this year, that average taxable home value has increased to $335.26. And those are just the numbers that really drive your average resident tax bill calculation that we'll present to you in August at your meetings when you all start discussing budget and tax rate. As you all have already kind of alluded to before the meeting, Tyler's group is working with the city of Cedar Park to get the portion of your tax rate that is the fire tax rate, that's the pass-through, and then that will help us drill down on maintenance and O&M, which then drives your budget discussions. I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have about certified value. She did go up roughly 10 million from last year to this year, so.
Can I think people look at page 3, look at that page here, it's prior year market value, the average of 378,341, and the current year market value of 367,016. I think, people should bear in mind that the increase in taxable is not driven by increase in market values this year. It's entirely coming from deferred cap value on that average basis.
That's interesting, huh?
Well, I guess the point to get to is you look at that first page, there's got that homestead cap adjustment, it's 2,723,719. So, just for argument's sake, assuming that Williamson CAD, and their holiday market's not doing real great, right, it's flat, declining a little bit. You know, that basically by next year, we'll probably burned off most of the deferred appreciation from the 2020, 2021 area, right? When home values shot up really dramatically, right? So just wanna point that out to folks is that, you know, people are looking at this, that, you know, we're not seeing robust overall market value growth in our district.
But we weren't expecting it either.
We were not, I just wanna flag that for folks, that when they say like, well, the taxable value's up, well, yes, it's because the way the appraisal cap works on homesteads, it limits the growth in the year it happens and then defers it out to the future, right? So we're kind of running out of that deferred future growth.
You think that would be a good article for the newsletter?
It might be.
Educate everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for walking through that one.
Yeah, alright.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Okay, anything else we need to know? That's informational. Okay, report from Premier Rec. Mark.
Overall, the pool's been fairly smooth up until like this weekend again. But like July 4th, although it was raining all day, there wasn't much lightning in the area, so we were open at all the pools. We had to close every now and then for lightning, but it wasn't much. Saturday was a different story, the 5th, we had lightning pretty much all day, so I think we opened around 5:30 or something before we could actually open the gates and let people in the pool. But movie night was great, we had about 80 people in attendance, so it was a nice crowd there. Everything went real smooth, it was a great time, we loved doing that. I did bring, this is the part for the sand filter, if y'all were interested on what happened, this is probably a 20-year-old part, this sits down on the bottom inside the sand. There's a 2-inch pipe that comes out and feeds back in, and then off of all these are the water collectors. So the laterals, the water comes in here, comes out that pipe and goes back to the pool. Well, over time, it's built pressure and collapsed this pipe. So that happened on June 19th was the first time it happened, on the first filter. We took that filter out of circulation. We ended up ordering the parts and we're gonna rebuild it. We were gonna put a new filter in, but it was gonna be a completely different filter that are gonna have to replumb it, everything like that, and it just didn't feel right. So we're like, it's operating great on 2 filters, let's keep it going. Well, then Friday night it happened again with a second filter. So at that point I said, okay, we're gonna go ahead and close for the weekend. We'll take all the sand out of both remaining filters. We did that, which is 1,025 pounds of sand per filter. We got that taken out, and then the parts were supposed to be in Saturday for the original one. It took a month to come in. I ordered the new ones with overnight delivery supposedly, and then got an email Saturday saying, oh, they're shipped directly from the manufacturer, so we'll send that overnight as soon as we get it. So like, okay, how do I get this pool open for everybody? Ended up rebuilding 2 of the manifolds with epoxy. We epoxied them together, put them on, still have the other ones on order. Got it rebuilt, got new sand, got those up and running, it's looking great, the pool's probably the clearest it's looked because it's brand new sand. So yes, there's still a little bit in the pipes that's coming out, and that's expected, it's gonna happen for the next couple weeks. But I did get the new parts in today for the first filter. I also, in doing that, I noticed that one of the valves is not closing properly for backwashing. So that could be causing some of this issue, and I was able to order the valves, also receive those today. So tomorrow morning I'll be out there before we open Apache, redoing the 3rd filter, getting that all in place, getting the new valve put in, getting the 3rd filter put back in, and we should be good, and then we'll have the 2 backup laterals for the future whenever we need them.
Great,
Thank you, Mark.
So,
well, thank you.
Thank you for doing all the effort.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can attest to the cleaning. You were there today and it's crystal clear.
Is it?
I was like,
the
what?
water is like.
Wow.
Very clear.
Now, walking in, there may be a little bit of sand, I apologize, moving, 2,000 pounds of sand and then emptying back, 2,000 new pounds of sand into it, there's gonna be a little bit of sand around, so we're trying to get that cleaned up, but there's gonna be a little bit of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, And thank you for sponsoring the event this weekend, and please, I think you guys live nearby, please come by and grab a barbecue sandwich if you get a chance.
We sure will, the weekends are kinda crazy the next 2 or 3 weekends, but we'll
Yeah.
definitely try to swing by.
And I don't know if I told you, but Hotspot donated 200 tickets to, a concert at their thing on the 29th of August, it's an Eagles cover band.
Okay.
So I'd love to be able to share a couple of those tickets with you guys,
That sounds great.
cause I have seen you there before.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Okay, fantastic, thank you, Mark. Let's go into fire break clearing. Alrighty, got both guys.
Tag team tonight. How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
As far as the regular report goes, everything's been going really smooth. Thankfully, the rain has helped, keep everything really green and blooming well. If you haven't had a chance to drive the Loop Road and take a look at the crepe myrtles, it looks fantastic.
Oh, they're so pretty.
They're river. So, nothing out of the ordinary is coming up, other than just regular maintenance.
Actually, I would share with you, one of the residents stopped at, I guess the stoplight, maybe stop sign, and she said the white roses looked amazing. So I'm not sure that's front or wherever, I thought we had red roses, but
I think there's some white ones up front.
she said they look beautiful, so people are complimenting and
Good.
that. Good, okay, fire break?
I'm not exactly sure what.
Okay,
what-
is
So
that,
let me go into that if it's okay. Initially I had asked Clint to give me a total amount of hours left for fire breaking. We're at 635 hours. He did have a couple of days where they needed to go in and take care of a few trees for residents around the area. So basically what we were looking at, and with the comment that Director Shoemaker made at our last meeting, we really need to start focusing as opposed to fire break, but utilizing those hours because of the flood. Going in and looking at all of our outlets to make sure that we don't have any backup debris from the flooding. And so Clint is gonna be working on that probably for the next 2 weeks. I've asked him after he's looked at all of the outlets to then actually go through the creek and then confirm that we don't have any down debris that's impeding flow. So that we, again, will be able to get ahead of that. He will come back with an assessment for us and tell us what he thinks or what he's found, and clearly if there's anything that needs quick attention, we'll discuss that, and he'll be utilizing some of those hours to be able to get all of that taken care of first. Once we're done with all of that, we'll come back and we'll talk about where we need to kind of look at doing some cleanup as far as remaining fire break, if you will, but I do expect for that to be quite a bit unless, you know, we benefited from that extreme flow and maybe everything is cleared out, but we'll see.
If I run into something major, I'll bring that to your attention immediately
Yeah.
before I wait for the whole report.
Sure. Sure.
okay, since Fireworks is here, I just wanted, I think we talked about it, Lisa, just offline, but, have you guys ever utilized goats?
No.
Okay, so, I don't know where it came in, somehow it came into my inbox, some counties, some cities, and I know in Colorado Springs, they utilize goats in, their community garden in their parks, really to eat, poison ivy, poison oak.
They'll eat everything.
Yeah, so, I'd like for the board to, maybe have Lisa do some research and see, cause there are some local people that have goats, and see if it is worth the money to spend on that. And, I do know one resident reached out to me yesterday, and she is majorly allergic to poison ivy, and she lives along the creek, and it's just coming up in her backyard, she keeps trying to treat it, but it's just all back there.
It's on our property, so.
Is it?
Okay,
So,
no, I'm asking, I'm assuming it's coming off our.
yeah, it's coming out the mud, yeah, it's coming off the creek in the mud, yeah. So, if that's a way that we, you know, just thinking outside the box, that might be a good way to take care of some of that for, yeah. Be part of fire break.
Austin used goes around Town Lake
Do they?
recently.
Yeah, 'cause it was a clear out low-lying stuff like poison ivy, poison oak, right, it was gonna take, they want a clear cut, so we can certainly discuss that as part of our efforts there, cause I think that, you know, I went back with Lisa to go look at some of the areas a couple weeks ago before the rain, and one of the things that hit me was like, you know, that we have a lot of like dense, low to the ground fuel,
Underbrush.
right, underbrush mixed in with deadfall. And again, it's rain, so that's not gonna burn now. But absent something doing something, it's not gonna leave either, right? It's gonna be there, so.
Okay.
I'd
Alright.
be curious too, when you do the research, how long, if the goats clear the poison ivy, how long that lasts? Like, what do we need to look at for them to upkeep, keeping it going?
Yeah. If it's an annual thing, they have to
Right.
come in at, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay, thanks. And thank you guys for sponsoring the event also, and I need to get a sign from you if you have one.
Do we need to discuss pre-run before they
Put it out there,
Okay.
we just have prior sign.
I don't know if we do.
Okay.
I
Discuss
think we're
what?
okay.
We did have pre-run landscaping on the agenda as well. Clinton and I have talked, they actually do take care of pre-run
Okay.
from the curb to
the tree line.
to the tree line,
Okay.
and that's something that they do on a monthly basis, so that's already in their maintenance plan.
Okay.
You guys, just FYI, I think NFN will be landscaping from the wall to that point, I think quarterly.
Alright, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, that's done, that's done. Finance and audit. Tyler.
Alright, thank you. For bills and invoices, we have checks for approval 10136 through 10188. That includes the checks that were included in your supplemental packet, as well as one that was not included in your supplemental packet to Premier Recreation.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve
Move
payment
to
of bills?
approve the bill.
Is there any funds, transfers, and investments?
Yes, we're transferring all of your funds over from text pool to Texas Class. It just gathers larger interest rates.
Okay, so the motion will include funds, transfers, and investments. Motion, you have to, for a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Report from finance audit subcommittee, there's only half of you here,
Because we'll have the memos in the packet.
but, okay. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Let's go to professional services, Crossroads, Ben. Hey, thanks guys for coming in person. This is my first time running the system, so I just thought it'd be easier.
Absolutely. Nice to see everyone when it's not so packed in here.
He says, because he had worked the outside.
My report is brief, it's in the packet if you guys have any questions. The first item, it talks about the water restrictions, I don't know if you wanted to get into that now or wait.
Yeah, let me just get into it real quick. So I just wanted to, I know Cedar Park went down to stage 1, and I know we automatically follow them, right? But I do recall, I think at least twice, when Cedar Park went to another stage lower, we stayed at the more conservative one, just to, kind of not use up all the water. So I just wanted the board to take that under consideration. We can, obviously, we're at stage 1 now. If we wanna vote, we can go back to stage 2. We were at stage 3. And maybe it's something we wanna wait till the rest of the full board's here. But I think it's worth a discussion just to really look at the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 and the impact.
Mind if I provide a little bit of clarity
Please
on
do.
that? So, and I'm not sure, and Lisa and I had chatted and given a little bit of background on some of the history and recollection of considerations. As of right now, and so y'all's DCP is essentially an LCRA DCP, right? So it's LCRA sells to Cedar Park, Cedar Park sells to y'all. And LCRA is standardized, you're twice a week, even when there is no DCP stage in place. And on the LCRA side, stage 1 gets triggered, it's actually the same as stage 2. So the ways y'all are structured is stage 1 is your base, and stage 2 water restrictions are exactly the same as stage 1. So 2 and 1 are the same, and once you go to 3, I think once per week, but it's twice a week on both stage 1 and stage 2.
What's the difference between the two?
There isn't any, yeah.
Oh,
So-
I thought their stage 1 and 2 still had some differences in other outdoor water uses like car washes, they've completely harmonized them now?
At least with, maybe that, and there might be some nuance there, but with regard to the amount of irrigation,
They're the
yeah,
same,
yeah,
okay.
it's the
Let's,
same.
You may wanna check out,
I'll look at
because
it just to make
because
sure.
my recollection is like there was like I thought stage 1 was like, you can wash your car outside whenever you want or stuff like that, but I think there might be some stuff
Sure, I
about
think
that.
there used to be more nuance between the stages, but LCRA, I think, has modernized that, just they have what they call the permanent watering schedule, where it's always twice a week, so, y'all doesn't read exactly the same, I think we formatted after Cedar Park, so, but the principle is the same, and then you're maxing out at 2 irrigations per week.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind just double checking if it doesn't impact us any other way, like car washes or some,
Other
something
outdoor
else.
uses, I feel like there's
Yeah.
some other.
Yeah, hand washing maybe is implicated in stage 2 as opposed to stage 1.
If it's exactly the same, there's no need to bring it back to the
Yeah.
agenda,
Yeah.
but if there is some nuances there, let us know.
Yeah,
We'll
for
probably do
the
that.
macro consideration is usually the irrigation, so, they're exactly the same, but I'll take a look just to make sure that,
Okay, thank you.
It's exactly the same over there.
Okay.
Yes, and then, at the last, I think, May meeting, we had the, leak detection that was approved by you guys, and that's gonna take place maybe next week or the week after, so if you guys are out and about in the neighborhood, and you see some guys walking around the neighborhood with like headphones on, or like just a weird reflective jacket and just kind of mosey onto the neighborhood, that's probably them. They do a lot of, they're very thorough, so someone might be like, hey, there's these guys walking around, they hold like almost like a boomstick to, so just, you might see some guys in the neighborhood. I think there's a crew of 3 of them, so just FYI. We have one write-off for approval, that's just gonna be for $115.17.
Have a motion to approve the write-off?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Just real quick, maybe Lisa, if you could put together just a little Canva post, letting them know that we're gonna have these guys out with boomers and whatever.
I was thinking that too,
Don't say aluminum foil hats or anything, but,
Give me a better description.
Yeah, I got you. I'll send you an email.
Okay, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, you're fine. And then, last thing was just the AT&T update, which I know it's in the newsletter as well, thank you guys for putting that in there. So the purple, the green and the yellow are complete, but the purple, has not been, up for bid yet, so I know Ernie said that, within the next 3 weeks, some contractor will get the bid, and then we should see somebody maybe in a month from now. But that purple section is the Tumlinson Fort, Gabriel Mills, Autry, so that'll be the next section.
And they'll continue with the micro trenching.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, they're gonna stick from micro trenching from now on.
I just really think that's just been fantastic. I mean, our complaint, level just really dropped. And having just some of the vineyards, I mean, it was just great. It really was, so.
So exactly, I have this like in 5 districts and they're micro-trenching everywhere and it is, the amount of complaints has gone down.
Really, and they're so nice.
Yeah.
The crews are just great, so. Okay, thank you.
And that's it, if you guys,
Any questions for Ben?
Yep, thank you.
y'all have a great night.
Thank you, you too. Crystal.
Awesome. All right, so we have 2 topics to discuss. So we've been working over the last month, we've had a lot going on. We've continued with our weekly check-ins in between Trent's office, ourselves, of course, Lisa, and then TF Harper. So that's been really great to just always have a check-in regardless if we have anything major to discuss. But it's just really nice to just get on the phone with everybody. And so we had 3 submittals this month for color selection. I know y'all saw those, so that's wonderful to see progress and pick out colors and everything. Today, we actually had a pre-demolition meeting that Lisa and I wanted to hold, make sure everyone was on the same page about the fencing and everything. And so we were out on site talking through storage of materials, tree protection, the location of where fences will go, porta potty, you name it, we went through it, which was really great. And last month I had mentioned that demolition would start on the 28th unless they could expedite it. And TF Harper is expedited, so we will actually see people out tomorrow, which is amazing, yes. So they'll start to mobilize tomorrow, so I think we'll see if fencing comes, but there's a lot of moving pieces, which is.
And you're gonna put a note out, right, to residents, okay.
Yes,
Great.
so exciting, yes. No update on, no changes to the schedule on when the shipment of materials will start coming in, but everything's still on schedule for the week of August 18th for the first major shipment. It'll have most of the materials in it, which is really great. And last but not least, NFM, as Jim had mentioned, everything's looking absolutely beautiful with all the landscaping, but David and I both came out the day after all the flooding occurred. We just wanted to look at Blockhouse Creek. I would have thought they would have gone a lot higher, so I feel like we're really blessed that it stayed within its banks.
Yeah.
And I checked out the Pocket Park and looked at the BMPs and everything from NFM's site, and it looked really, really good. So I was very pleased, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions for Crystal? Thank you so much for, it sounds like you guys are really starting to make some progress there. Okay, you know what, we were gonna go into executive for B's consideration, but I do think we should have the whole board here for that.
I was gonna ask to make the motion to defer the items 13 and 14, right? And I guess, was 15 also related to that?
15 was directed.
No, I wanna address 15, you can bring it back if you want to, but I do wanna address it real quick.
Yeah, no,
Just
yeah,
not to waste our time.
yeah.
And let's go ahead and table 13 and 14. 15, the survey, so in my opinion, we don't have budget money to do a survey this year. We already made that decision when we did the budget last year. My second thought is, I believe he wanted, and we can have this discussion when he's here, but I believe he wanted to do a survey on how we're gonna use the park bond money. Well, we've already done that, we've already gone through the park bond process.
Master plan.
And so I don't think, in my mind, it's actually a good use of our time, or even it could mislead the residents, because we are already pretty much locked into that, some of that stuff. If he wants to do another survey on another topic, I think that we need to discuss that during the budget session and put that money in there and earmark it, because it does cost us money to do surveys. And then I want the whole board to have a conversation, like what would be good to survey them, but that's my opinion, we can go around and.
Well, all I was gonna say is I think if we're gonna change how we wanna use the park money, I think it needs to be an amendment to the park master plan. Like, now it's fine after the last stuff we had discussed about the trails, if the folks in the right neighborhood are not happy with the current plan, I'm fine with revisiting it, right? But I think we need to revisit it through that process than a survey directly, right? Yeah, I may be part of a process, but really the whole board more input on that.
Just, and I'm happy to circulate the existing park plan, David, but I think what you have bond funds left for, there was a restroom in Tonkawa, trail improvements, and a dog park.
Correct, yeah, so, yeah, but I think, one thing I'll say is, I generally got the sense that perhaps some residents were not happy with that period, right? At the meetings we had about the trails in the park, right? So that's really, if there's broader discontent, that's the appropriate process to revisit that issue.
So, and I did visit with Trent very briefly, and, you know, I don't know that you want complete cross-pollination in terms of finishing up here and starting other stuff, but I think, you know, we probably wanna be ready to jump to the next after we finish the playscape, so I think the timing of the conversations.
Yeah, and I think in the next the next agenda, full agenda, we're also gonna talk about change orders for the park plan. Yes, I agree, no, we just talked about that, but one specifically is, Lisa's had a discussion with Crystal and David and maybe Trent on the Polaris, and we actually can buy our new Polaris with park bond money. Which would be huge, because ours is about to break again, and that's a big chunk of change, so we'll have it on the agenda, yep. Alright, so that's that, we are doing good. Anything from the amenities subcommittee? I think we've got our report in the packet. We're really excited about this moving forward. Anything else you think of?
I can't think of anything else that was
Okay.
significant.
Okay, yeah. PR communications, the newsletter's looking great, special events, we're helping with the back to school event, so I think that's all we've got there. Restricted covenants, do you
I'm
guys-
gonna pin that, cause
Okay.
sadly Director Johnson had to pin that one by himself last week, I was planning to be there, but I got pulled away for work.
Okay,
And so he and I, when we last talked, we're not giving, so I'll pin all those items into the next meeting if that's all right.
that's fine, yeah. And then let's go into professional services, TDS.
Reports in the packet.
Okay, reports in the packet. Hey, I do wanna say that, we had the first time we had the, curbside bulk community-wide pickup. And I will say, from just a standpoint of driving around, it was really clean. I was expecting it to look like Sanford and Sons or something, you know, everything, that's really an old reference, but, it really was not that bad. And I think there's a little bit of confusion, but like you did a good post, it's just about how they were practicing on Friday and then Saturday, but I think everything was picked up and, you know, maybe a little lessons learned just here and there on just communication, but I thought it was done really well. And the feedback I saw was residents really liked it. They liked not having to call it in, and so, and I even saw people from other neighborhoods saying, gosh, I wish our neighborhood could do that, like some people from Benbrook and stuff were saying that, so good job.
Yeah, I think it went very well, I saw a lot of folks figure that stuff out, so.
Good job everyone, and TDS, good job.
I liked it a lot too, cause I got to stand up and sun for like.
Yeah. I bet, noted. Got anything under, 22, stormwater management?
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, we are gonna look at all the outlets and then let's, you know, see if there's
Yes,
any
we are gonna do
blockages or
that.
anything.
Quiddity did have a MS4,
Oh, the training.
it was a training, and so I did do that, and I will send that out to the board members if they want to take that training as well.
I know, I took it last year, did you guys take it last year? It's really good, it's really worth taking, actually.
I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I sent my way as well.
Okay, anything professional services subcommittee?
Nothing reports in the packet.
Okay, general manager, reports in the packet?
Our reports in the packet.
A, trespassing in Apache Pool.
So on the trespassing, we actually had two separate ones. We had an item that involved a previous, I believe, member of a swim group, and I think that was taken care of.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit, this is gonna involve security too, so, and this is really for the, for Director Shoemaker, and then hopefully Young and Johnson will watch this, but we can issue a,
Criminal trespass warning?
yeah, we can issue a criminal trespass warning if somebody's seen doing something inappropriate, or, if we call them out, it could be one of the directors, or it could be our GM, or Amy, or even Travis, right? But it has to be one of us that calls you guys out. So we did have an incident at Apache Pool where two young men broke in to Apache Pool and were swimming in the middle of the day using the dive blocks. So we did call it in, one of your, actually, I don't think it's one of your deputies, it was just a regular deputy. And it showed up, and then he did ask, does this trespass warning apply to both pools? And we said yes. And there was some, I just wanna make sure residents understand that warning stays in place until we revoke it, until that person or persons comes to the board and asks it to be revoked, and we can say yes or no. I will tell you, it's really rare for us to issue those. I think we've issued 2, maybe since I've been on the board. One was issued before I was on the board, and my first year, he came to the board after it had been in effect for like 3 or 5 years, and they did, release it or whatever, he was okay. If they show up at the pools under this warning, they can be arrested. So, unfortunately, one of the individuals was employed, by the swim team, so he can't come to the pool to work or anything like that, which is very unfortunate, but, was there anything else that we wanted to share with the directors on this, or just on criminal trespass warnings, or?
If you do want it to be for multiple pools, it does need to have both addresses on there though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's address driven, that's why it just wants to have all the addresses. So if you want to ban from both pools, it needs to have both addresses on there. If you want to ban from the pools and the parks, it needs to have all of the addresses on there.
Oh, okay, that's good to know then, alright. Well, hopefully we don't get in the habit of, having to issue them, but unfortunately, they did break the rules. And in our discussion, it was also, breaking and entering. Cause the pool was closed.
Yeah, it was closed, but remember how we talked about, is he allowed to have access? Even though he's not allowed to have access at that time, it gets very confusing.
Yeah.
So, cause he was still an employee and is allowed to be there, just not allowed to be there out of hours, but yeah, it's a very fine line, and depending on which attorney you talk to, they could say yes, or it's really hard to prove, we have to do a lot of work on it.
And not that this is gonna be a repeat thing, but that's something we may wanna consider, like with the contract, with the Todd West contract, just putting something more specific in there to kind of cover us. I don't know, but, okay, so anyways, do you have any questions, Director Shoemaker, on issuing criminal trespass warnings?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and I hope we don't have to issue another one while I'm around, but that is part of the
If
process.
you don't have any questions, just please feel free to contact me and I'll just wait.
He has all the answers. Okay, and then the other issue was at Apache Pool, we had some kids, that pulled up in 2 cars? 3 cars, and were shooting, we thought they were paintball, but what were they actually?
Slingshot.
So the good news is our cameras got it all on film, or recorded, and got the license plates, saw them smoking pot, everything. So, the deputies, the, detective is working on it, and we're making progress, so mess around and find out.
Our cameras still have picked up drivers' license plates in the past, right?
Yes, so this is an improvement with our, camera system.
Good.
Yeah,
Very good.
and we have cameras everywhere, just as a warning. Okay, closure of Tumbleston Pool parking lot.
So, I'll add both of these, B and C. Given that we do have the Playscape, project now commencing, I've discussed with Crystal the, ingress and egress for, TF Harper. And initially, they had talked about just essentially using the little bit of roundabout. But with further discussion and recognizing that clearly they're gonna start having some big drops of material and things to that effect, I found that it was more important for us to give them, the area of Tomlinson Pool parking lot, for them to be able to stage and just be able to have their machinery and so forth. So I'm asking that the board approve for me to actually shut down Tomlinson parking lot pool as of tomorrow. I would direct, the Williamson County Sheriff, or deputy, to go out tonight and go ahead and lock that up. In the morning, Travis would come in, he would add a new, gate lock combo. We would give that to TF Harper. also to TDS, as well as our parks people, just so that way they're able to access that area. And then what we would do is instruct all of our residents to park in the Walker House area and utilize the sidewalk around the Walker House as well as the bridge for them to access the pool. In that same respect, I'm also asking that the board consider closing Chance Field. And the reason that I'm asking that is because the perimeter of this temporary fencing literally could turn into a jungle gym, considering, like I said, that it's gonna be butting up very close to Chance Field. And I think that it would be super important for the parents that are currently reserving it, that aren't paying for it, but they have a lot of children that aren't on the fields themselves, but actually just hanging out, watching their loved ones enjoy the field and do their practices. So that's my recommendation. I will give you a heads up that we actually did let the people that were reserving Chance Field that this was a possibility. So they knew it whenever they took on that reservation at the beginning, before that summer actually started, that this was a possibility. We have also offered them Tonkawa Park as a backup if they wanna switch over and start utilizing that area.
And no fees are collected for the
That's
use of these, okay. Do I have a motion to, close Chance Field?
Yeah, actually, we need a motion with the park lot too.
Parking lot.
Yeah, why don't we make a motion we discuss on items B and C for closure of the park, pool parking lot and the field, and then we can discuss.
Okay, well, let's do this, motion to closure of Thompson Pool parking lot.
Yeah, I made the motion, so.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, you wanna discuss that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you wanna discuss that, okay, discussion.
When we close the pool parking lot,
Mhm.
are we gonna have enough space at Walker House, or are we also considering having them use the bike track area? Cause like driving by today, there was more cars in there than are gonna fit in this parking lot.
It is a consideration to utilize both
Okay.
areas.
So when we make that communication, can we make sure that both?
It would be Walker House and BMX, or the bike track area.
And they can park along Blockhouse Drive also,
Okay.
that's not a non-parking.
Okay,
Yeah, that's parking.
perfect. So just as long as there's more communication of where they actually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question on how long we're gonna have Chance Field back.
Well, wait,
Hang on, wait a minute.
this is the parking lot,
Oh,
so,
I made a motion, but we'll do parking lot first.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, okay, motion for the closure of Tonkawa, Chance Field.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Okay, discussion.
I just had a quick question, how long do you think we're gonna have needed to close it? Cause I guess the question I asked is like, I know the parking lot's probably gonna be the duration of the project, but, are we anticipating we need to have the field closed for the same duration?
Yes,
Okay, what's the rough duration on that again?
end of September. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you got it, yeah,
Okay.
so construction will be completed by September 30th is what's scheduled.
So we're looking at like 2.5 months.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I just would like to add that if we kept Chance Field open, but that parking lot's closed, we probably have some people parking in the non-parking area on Thomason, which will not go over well.
yeah.
And I think it is safety driven, but,
Is Tonkawa reserved?
We have a few slots reserved, but not a whole lot, so it is available.
So if we transfer the reservations there, they're guaranteed that spot?
Sure.
Okay, that's what I wanna make sure.
and there's multiple, like,
Right,
you
I
can
just wanna make sure that there's not people out playing and then they actually can't use the space.
Right.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, baseball, select baseball is only, in the summer, it's only all-star stuff, but then the season starts again typically in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bob is like,
we don't get very much
You know-
of a break.
Yeah, he knows.
you're all for that.
Anecdotally, he lives.
Okay, any more discussion?
No.
Okay, just make sure, to get those communications out and talk, I know Amy usually talks to all of them too, so it'd be good. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, alright, legal, what do you got?
I don't have anything, any outstanding directives tonight, nothing else under legal tonight.
Good boy.
First time for everyone. Caroline, obligated as a money to remind everyone, tax season coming up, quorum's very important.
Cool, oh, I did not hear quorum,
I
okay.
mean,
Being at the meetings is important.
Yeah. Okay, now we're doing anything under credit ethics, miscellaneous, future board meetings, we're gonna discuss that, and we'll distribute, yeah. I know you're in special session, do you know how long that's gonna last? I know.
Yeah, theoretically it ends August 20th, we'll see.
Okay, alright, well, you know,
We'll work around it.
yeah, I'll be around, if Yeah,
We'll get it figured out.
yeah, okay, good. Do I have a motion to
Motion.
dismiss? Hey, okay, all in favor? Aye.
Right.
Thank you so much, everyone. Sure.
Minutes. Oh, you need any signs, John?
Deputy Lombardo, will you make sure, someone to disclose the pool, closes at 8 PM tonight?
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure.